Hello and welcome back to Green-HillGaming, where I share my passion of video games with the whole wide world. In this live stream of Resident Evil 7, I will be showing you the ending. Sit back, relax, stay safe, and more importantly, enjoy the live stream. As always, I make sure that I have everything I need. So I need to be sure that I have everything I need to end Resident Evil 7. And hello to my viewer, welcome to Green-HillGaming, where I am live streaming the ending of Resident Evil 7. Never mind my voice in the background, just having my live chat up on my phone so I can keep up to date with everything. Okay, so great to have you on the live stream. So I always do a bit of inventory management before I get the gameplay started. Gotta make sure that I have everything I need, like, especially at the ending. Alright, so I don't need any of these really. And how do you do? To my second viewer, welcome to Green-HillGaming, where I am live streaming the ending to Resident Evil 7. It is great to have you both on the live stream. Hope that you're all keeping well, and more importantly, just enjoy the ending to Resident Evil 7. Now, there's quite a few things here, but I don't really care. Don't really care. I think one, I can't be able to see any of this. What does it say? Okay, these are some, yeah, those are the steroids. And I already have the Magnum, and this is stabilizers, or whatever the hell they're called. Okay, let's go. Wait a second, am I going backwards? No, I'm going the right way. Oakley dokley. Let's end Resident Evil 7. Hello. Goodbye. Look at that for marksmanship. Chris Redfield has nothing on me. Maybe, okay. Maybe he does. Ah. Stay down, you ugly motherfucker. Hello to my third viewer, you are very welcome to Green-HillGaming, where I am live streaming the ending to Resident Evil 7. So it is great to have everyone in the live stream right now. I hope that you're all keeping well. Boom, headshot. Stay down, you bollocks. Oh, these things come on over, don't they? And so does my Magnum. I am talking about the ice cream kind. I don't need no machine gun ammo. Not when I have a Magnum and infinite ammo, which I earned, by the way. I always point out the fact that I earned the right. Johnny. Who do we have? Who do we have in the live stream? Hello, Elemental Ninja. You are very, very welcome to Green-HillGaming, where I am live streaming the ending to Resident Evil 7. I made it this far. We all made it this far. Elemental Ninja, how are you keeping? And once again, great to have you on the live stream. And enjoy. So yeah, man. We did it. We got to the ending to Resident Evil 7. Okay, I know it's not technically the ending. There's quite a bit to go before we actually get to the ending. I am very good indeed now. Thank you for asking. Glad to hear that you're keeping well as well. So yeah, there is quite a bit to go before I get to the ending. But sure, look, we'll say nothing. There's not very much left in the game, you know. This is pretty much the ending area of the game. I'll have goosebumps. I think whenever you play a horror game with your headphones on, it just makes everything more scarier. Which is why I'm actually really looking forward to PlayStation 5 with that 3D audio technology. It's kind of hard to describe it, and it's kind of hard to kind of communicate just how innovative it is, because you might get some people that would say, what's so innovative about it? I have these really expensive headphones, I have Beats. Well, no, it comes with the actual like technology of the PlayStation 5 itself. 3D audio is basically like, the only way I can put it is it's going to sound a hell of a lot better, and it's going to be a hell of a lot more immersive. So I'm just really looking forward to playing Resident Evil 5 on PS5. Or sorry, Resident Evil, I keep saying 5. Resident Evil 8 on PS5 with 3D audio. I don't know why I picked that up, I don't need to. Playing that on PS5 right now, I would be absolutely screaming my lungs out. Can I just talk a little bit about the PS5 and just how happy I am with Sony? They have delivered exactly what I wanted them to deliver. I mean, apart from doing what they've always done, which is deliver, you know, the most powerful consoles on the market in every area, you know, of specs, not just graphically, but just, you know, really delivering the power, right? But one thing I always wanted Sony to do for a long time now was like, okay, Sony, do something different. I've always wanted them to do, right? And they've done it. They've done it with the DualSense controller, with that haptic feedback, which is basically a very advanced version of vibration or rumble, however you want to call it. It has haptic feedback with the triggers as well. They're going to respond differently to when you're like pulling a bow and arrow. So if you're playing a game like God of War, I know I'm doing a terrible job actually explaining, but so yeah, the controller is really innovative. 3D audio, which I spoke about a minute ago, and I honestly think the fact that the PS5 will have no loading times is going to change so much. It is innovative, because when you're playing a very immersive, story-driven game, the last thing you want is to be like sitting there looking at a loading screen for like, you know, a minute or so. You know, it takes away the immersion. So no loading times.
The new Horizon Zero Dawn looks good.
Oh, it looks fantastic. It really does. It's really one of the stronger looking PS5 games. That and Ratchet and Clank. I've always said that games like Ratchet and Clank, actually, they're really colourful games. Always benefit from good graphics, because you can really have those colours. I'm going to make sure that I have everything around here. Those colours really stand out there. Sorry, I'm doing a terrible job explaining what I said. Basically, I'm happy, very happy with Sony with their PS5. They've done exactly what I wanted them to do. I don't want to sound like I held them hostage or something with a gun. Hey Sony, you gotta fucking make the PS5 exactly this way. I'll shoot your fucking brains out. It wasn't like that, you know. I just for a long time I wanted Sony to have a nice combination of specs and innovation, and that's exactly what the PS5 delivers: specs and innovation. So extremely powerful hardware with the innovation, like no loading times, perfect combination of
That's
power.
dark, Johnny.
It is, isn't it? That didn't happen. I just want to point that out. That did not happen. That did not happen. But no. So obviously the faster loading, no loading times is the combination of specs and innovation. Because as I mentioned, like, you know, if you really get sucked into the story of an immersive game, like let's say like the new Horizon game, right? You don't want to be looking back at loading screens. So removing the loading screens immerses you more in the game. I don't want to sound like a game developer, but it's just really how I feel. You know, it's very rare that I speak of innovation and Sony in the same sentence. And that's not a bash at Sony. Sony have always done their own thing, and you know it's always benefited them in the area of specs. But this is real innovation. This is proper innovation, I would say, and it's innovation that I take notice of. 100%. And as I mentioned as well, the 3D audio of the PS5 will also make you a lot more immersed in the game, because, you know, like, if there's an enemy behind you, you're going to hear it a lot more clearer. If they're in front of you, you're going to hear it. If they're,
I'm
you know
doing
what I mean?
school walled.
You're doing what? What are you doing? Well, that comment is taking forever to come up. I don't know what the hell just... You're doing what? So yeah, the 3D
I'm
audio...
doing schoolwork whilst watching your stream.
Ah, okay. I didn't quite hear what the
It was
computer
a
said
typo.
first. Typo, no problem. Multitasking. Multitasking, man, has become a tradition of Green-HillGaming. Include myself half the time. What am I doing? That's a magnet. I don't need a magnet. What am I saying? Yeah, I'm just hyped for PS5. And that, again, the 3D audio will make you a lot more immersed in your games as well. And that controller is amazing. It's hard to describe the controller, but the haptic feedback will basically, the vibration is going to be far better, and the trigger buttons can actually feel a lot more tighter and stuff like that. So just amazing technology. There's one behind me, isn't there? Yeah, dead. And there's still a lot. There's still a lot to be shown with PS5. There's a lot more to come. Not just in terms of that games, which of course is the most important thing, but we'll find out like what features the PS5 has. They're dead. So I really think that the PS5's no loading screens will result in games like, let's say, The Elder Scrolls and Horizon feeling a lot more immersive, and the 3D audio is going to make horror games like Resident Evil 8 just far more scarier, because you're going to hear things all around you. Hyped. Absolutely hyped. So I know that you have an Xbox, Elemental Ninja, but would you be, I think I forgot, I don't know if I asked you this before, but what consoles do you have? Are you like primarily an Xbox guy, or would you like play a bit of PlayStation as well? For me at the moment now, in terms of my modern consoles anyway, I am a PS4 and Switch. But outside of that I have a 3DS and a lot of other retro consoles as well. I won't even name them all. There's a lot of retro consoles, from Sega to Sony to Nintendo.
I am considering buying the PS5 and I have a Wii U, a Nintendo Switch and an Xbox One.
Nice range of consoles, man. I love it. I definitely think you should at least consider the PS5 because, well, for starters, it's just going to have a lot of great games, which is the most important thing. But I think it introduces a new era for PlayStation, because you're not just getting the same old. You're not just getting better graphics. You're not just getting better performance. You're getting better performance that results in no loading screens, which is going to really change things more than you can imagine. You're going to get 3D audio, which is just going to make you feel like you're in the game even more. And that controller, the DualSense controller, is really going to make you feel like you're having a lot more fun playing the game. Of course, the design of the console itself is just amazing, and the controller. I got some documents. Okay, so sent. There's an email sent on Friday, January 16, 2015 at 12:42 a.m. Thanks to you guys, it's been about a week since my head's been clear and back to normal. And she still thinks she's got me. You guys really need to work on fixing that. Not only does she look like a little kid, but she's about as stupid as one too. Mom and Dad are still totally under though. I was wondering, is this whole family obsession something you guys programmed into her? It's kind of fucked up. Sent on November 4th, 2015. Let's see. This is all the way almost the end of the year. That bitch Mia is still somewhere in between Evie La La Land and reality. She gets pretty violent, so I locked her up in a cell. Thought maybe Evelyn will get mad since Mia is her favourite and all, but she doesn't seem to care. She actually goes and visits her sometimes. She thinks Mia's her mummy. Like I said, your bioweapon is fucked up. Friday, September 1st, 2016. Again, almost a whole year later. Evelyn's family obsession is getting out of hand. She's making everyone kidnap more and more assholes off the street. Add to her show of a family. Maybe she's getting tired of Mia not coming around. But it's a pain in the ass for me because I gotta clean up the mess whenever someone new comes along. So we're finding out more about the biological weapon of Resident Evil 7, and more about this mysterious girl whose name is Evelyn. But she is the biological weapon, in case you haven't figured it out. By the way, Evie's looking sick or something. Her skin is getting all wrinkly, and she's getting grey hairs. Is that supposed to happen? It's almost so it's said to say that the person who is sending these emails would be Lucas. The thing I can't figure out is, I know we haven't gotten to the end of the game yet, but what I can't figure out is, how did Lucas end up contacting, well, whoever the hell he was contacting, which is evidently the creators of the biological weapon? How did he end up contacting them? Like, I know that when Mia showed up, she must have left something behind. Maybe that's how he ended up contacting them, I don't know. But I am intrigued. Very, very intrigued. Some good old steroids.
It might be Maya's laptop.
Very good point. Very good point, actually. Oh, God, you're right there, man. I'm going to go with that because that makes me feel a lot better. Because I always obsess over these little things. This report details the symptoms that appear. Yeah, you're actually right. Maybe Lucas got hold of all this. Because where else would Lucas get this? You're probably right there. Yeah. This report details the symptoms that appear when the bacterium that grows inside of the E series infects a human. Be sure to read this document thoroughly before dealing
I don't
with
know,
series.
just a guess.
No, I think you're spot on there. I think you're spot. I don't want to say too much because we haven't gotten to the ending of the game yet, and there may be people watching this now, and there may be people watching it when it gets uploaded onto YouTube that may not have seen the ending to the game yet. This may be the only time that they're seeing the ending, so I don't want to spoil things too much there. But I think it does make sense. Yeah, what you're saying there does make sense. Be sure to read this document thoroughly before dealing with the E-series weaponized assets, hereafter referred to as molds. Initial infection. The mold ingests nutrients from the subject's body to propagate itself and slowly takes over cells within the body. As a side effect of this, the infected subject gains remarkable regenerative abilities. During experiments, we removed arms and legs from test subjects and found that they were able to co-opt the amputated limbs in a matter of minutes. Mid-stage infection. Once the mold reaches the brain, the subject's thoughts become in tune with those of the E-series asset. The subject starts to hear things and experience hallucinations, and soon comes under complete control of the E-series asset. If this state continues, the host will lose all sense of ego. Complete infection. After every cell in the body has been taken over by the mold, the subject begins to lose their human form. Physical mutations differ from case to case, but all result in him or her acquiring incredible physical strength. Containing a subject at this stage will be extremely difficult. I'm going to quickly just read over this again because I obsess over these. For details of symptoms that appear when the bacterium that grows inside of the E-series infects a human. Be sure to Be sure to read this document. I obsess over these things, sorry. The mold ingests ingredients from the subject's body to propagate itself. Slowly but surely takes over the body, yeah, as a side effect of it gains remarkable mid-stage infections. Once the mold reaches the brain, the subject's thoughts become in tune with those of the E-series assets. The subject starts to hear things. Most important thing to take note of there, because I will be talking about Resident Evil 8 as soon as I have all of the Resident Evil story complete, including Not a Hero. I'll be talking about Resident Evil 8. So the most important thing to remember here is the subject starts to hear things and experience hallucinations, and soon comes under complete control of the E-series asset. If this state continues, the host will lose all sense of ego, then eventually they'll transform, completely lose their human form, and be extremely strong.
So basically, once you're completely infected, you're screwed.
Yep. Almost, but more or less, yeah, you're right there. So what that's explaining there is the enemies that we've seen so far, the big giant black-like enemies, the mole-like enemies, they're as a result of the assets of the biological weapon Evelyn. So she has this like bacterium growing inside of her mold, which she can infect other people with. And first, it's regenerative abilities. Then
finally, my Watch Dogs 2 finished downloading.
I know who this is anyway. It's waiting. No, I thought that was that. I thought that was Chad there for a second. Chad Middleton always has a game that he's waiting forever to download. I thought that was Chad. But I'm glad that the game has downloaded, man. It's actually a good series, Watch Dogs. 5 minutes after those. Now, obviously, I think all these photos must have come from like a document that Mia had. So obviously, Mia brought this with her. It has to make sense, surely. So this is 10 minutes after dose. Death. 12 minutes after dose. Cell classification. Necrotoxin E-series doses test. So I gotta remember, Mia actually had like a little document that was on the. There was a document on the cargo ship in which Mia was on when she was transporting Evelyn. So all of this obviously came with her.
Maya's dumb for accepting the job.
Oh, she definitely is. So 5 minutes after dose, vomiting, the necrotoxin E-series dose, it says necrotoxin. So 5 minutes after taking it, the vomit. Sorry, necrotoxin E-series. 5 minutes vomiting. 10 minutes. Hello to my fourth viewer, welcome to Green-HillGaming, where I am live streaming the ending to Resident Evil 7. Great to have you on the live stream, and I hope you're keeping well and enjoy. So 10 minutes, they're dead. 12 minutes, their cells start to classification. So it looks like this.
If someone asked me to guard a bio weapon, I'd say hell no.
Same here, man. Hell no here too. Too dodgy. So this is the document, and that little case as well is what Mia brought many of these cases with her. Mia must have had one hell of a big fucking briefcase, man, when she showed up at the Baker family estate. Jesus Christ. The necrotoxin, destroying cells of any subject based on the E-series bioweapon model. Use only for disposal of E-series assets.
How many cases does she need?
I'm telling you, man. It reminds me of the scene in the original Mortal Kombat movie where Johnny Cage is arriving at the Hong Kong Bay. He's about to get onto the ship. He's like carrying all these briefcases. The toxin must first be stimulated before use. Do this by placing a sample of the E-series cells into the necrotoxin container. And hello to my fifth viewer. Very welcome to Green-HillGaming, where I am live streaming the ending to Resident Evil 7.
Goro broke his 500 sunglasses.
I know, yeah. Goro's a real asshole, isn't he? So I had the tissue sample of... so I now have the necrotoxin. Boom. So this will allow me, as I said, the necrotoxin, it destroys cells of any subject based on the E-series bioweapon model. Used only for disposal of the E-series assets. Toxin must first be stimulated before use. Do this by placing a sample of the E-series cells into the necrotoxin container. Yeah. So the assets are the actual molded, but it can be used on the mold and it can be used on the actual E-series model itself as well. So that's kind of more or less the vaccine, basically, is what I have in my hand here. So vaccine. Ah, this is what gets me really interested here. Okay, this is where things really get interested. Okay, this project.
It sounds like a magic thing, not science thing. I thought it would be neurotoxin, not necrotoxin.
Yeah, I know, but let me tell you though that Resident Evil has always been scientifically explained to some extent. It's not too science fiction like other horror games. It's very scientifically explained. And I hope this document here helps. This project was instigated in 2000 as one of several concepts for the company's next bat. Hello to my 6th viewer, very welcome to Green-HillGaming, where I am live streaming the ending to Resident Evil 7. Great to have you in the live stream. Hope that you're keeping well. So the company, this project was instigated.
I wonder where Chad is.
Everyone wonders where Chad is. It's so funny. It is so funny. Don't know. This project was instigated in 2000 as one of several concepts for the company's next generation experimental battlefield superiority initiative. What a big long fucking name. So basically next generation biological weaponry is what I would say. Next generation experimental battlefield superiority initiative. Working with the technical assistance from HCF. I didn't know this originally, but the last couple of months I've realised that for a year or so, HCF is actually the company that Wesker was working with, and I believe it was actually that group that actually attacked Rockford Island to help Wesker obtain the T. Veronica virus. I'm going to look that up later on. So working with the technical assistance from HCF to develop a bioweapon for neutralizing combatants en masse, a lot basically, with minimal direct contact. So you could see why this would make a great biological weapon, killing so many people with minimal direct contact. NextBAS was later folded and all its assets diverted to this project. What makes this project markedly different from conventional weapons is the ability to turn enemy combatants into allies, converting hostile elements into willing servants. Very interesting ability there. Since this effectively eliminates the costs of not only POW handling but also combat itself, it's no wonder where we had the blank 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 and even blank 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 organization chopping at the bit to get on board. The project would never have existed were it not for the discovery in blank 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 of blank 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 the remarkably progressed recurrent evolution fungus that we commonly term the mutamycete. God. The fabrication method for each bioweapon was to introduce the fungus, the mutamycete fungus, genome to a pre-stage 4 human embryo and perform cultivation in a controlled environment over a period of 38 to 40 weeks. This is a very advanced biological weapon, never before seen in the Resident Evil series. Like, this fungus and it's not a virus, it's a fungus injected directly, well, the genome of the virus, of the fungus, sorry, injected directly into a human embryo. The resultant organisms were referred to as candidate specimens and graded based on usability from the impractical and faulty series A through D to the perfected E series. A common appearance was selected for the bioweapon, that of a roughly 10-year-old girl, to ensure ease of blending in with urban/refugee populations. The first E-series specimen, named Evelyn, has proven capable of secreting the mutamycete from her tissue at will. It is also a note that Evelyn's mutamycete imposes a profound control over body and mind when introduced into a host's organism. We still have a lot to learn from the mechanism by which Evelyn achieves and maintains this control. The working theory is that the vector is similar to the autoinducer immunes used from aquarium sensing sorry, this is big fucking fancy words, bacteria. Evelyn's control is exerted in a series of discrete stages, the first of which is hallucination. Almost immediately after infection, the subject begins to see images of Evelyn, though she is not in fact there, and even hear her voice, which is inaudible to anyone else. Auditions with infected subjects throughout the stages of infection reveal that at first the phantom Evelyn appears to be a normal young girl, sometimes desiring companionship or assistance. As time progresses, she begins making more and more external demands, including self-mutilation and attacks on other people. The psychological shock this induces helps to break down the mind's natural barriers to Evelyn's brainwashing effect. And by the time mental control is achieved, the mutamycete infection has progressed throughout the body cells, throughout the body, blah blah blah. Interesting stuff. I obsess over the little things, as you know, so I'm just gonna read. Not gonna read the whole thing again. So it started off as one of the many concepts for a next generation experimental battlefield superiority. So a weapon that would basically kill a lot of combatants with minimum.
Reading's boring.
I know, but it's important though. It's story, man. It's all about story. Gotta know that story, man. You don't need to look up, fan theory stuff. This is all factual. This is all factual information, man. So the project was folded, and all the assets were used for this project. The difference in the ability to turn enemy combatants into allies. Since the effectively constant. I'm trying to figure out who these people are. There's no wonder we had. Maybe that's the USA and CHI. Maybe that's USA and even China's blank 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 organization. Something at the bit to get on board. Project would never be as history of not for the discovery. Remaining progress added. Each weapon was introduced in the freedom to be from the resulting organ was referred to as specimen. Sorry, no, I graded based on the usability of common. Being careful of secreting the myself from that tissue over the throughout of the body and mind. And is used into more reasons so often Okay. Interesting stuff. One of the most advanced, I've always said, is one of the most advanced biological weapons of the entire Resident Evil series. There was nothing quite as advanced as the E series. But I think you're spot on, Elemental Ninja. I definitely feel that all of this got into the hands of Lucas when Evelyn and Mia showed up at the Baker family. Because how else would all this show up here? I don't think this was a lab or anything, you know. To report details of symptoms that appear. Okay. Yeah, like all this didn't just magically show up here, you know. Like this is a mine. This is a mining area, you know, so. So it's important to I know the reading can be a bit boring. Apologies about that, Elemental Ninja, but it's at the same time it's very important because when I'll be discussing Resident Evil 8, it's important to know exactly what type of biological weapon Evelyn is, what she's capable of doing. It's very important for stuff like, oh, here's another one. Evelyn's functions also include the ability to form organisms from mycelia, the fungal filaments. The term organism is used loosely here. Strictly speaking, they are superorganisms formed of countless mycelia. What's important though is that they exhibit a strong survival instinct and will defend themselves ferociously with the slightest provocation. Their fungal toughness and remarkable strength give them significant battlefield potential. The researchers have been calling these superorganisms the molded, made of mold, and also molded as in shaped. The name has a certain elegance to it. For the treatment of accidental infections, performing the vet on sample on Evelyn's body tissue produces a unique fungal serum. And this is how Eva or Mia would have known about the serum as well. On samples of Evelyn's body tissue produces a unique fungal serum. Administering the serum to an infected subject will cause the mycelia to classify, but in the subject's cells are already largely invaded, the serum will be fatal. Since the treatment window is so small, the serum primary use is to therefore disposal of infected subjects rather than a cure. In exploring the serum's potential, we found that subjecting it to blah 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 would enhance its effect to extreme potency, becoming a compound we now call E-necrotoxin, which is even tiny elements. What's been interesting to observe in Evelyn's behaviour is her obsession with the concept of family. In experiments, we found on multiple occasions that the infected subjects were compelled to act as her mother or father, treating her as if she were their real daughter. Why did she settle upon family as the theme for her mental control? This is just speculation, but it could be that she instinctively understands that a family unit is better suited to blending into social groups than alone. On the other hand, well, the sentimental sort might suggest that she's making up for a perceived lack of love in her quarantined upbringing. Okay. So I'm just realizing. So what they talk about, where is the other one? Sorry, no. I know this is boring, but I obsess over the little things. The assets, which is spoken about. Symptoms that appear when the bacterium grows inside the yeast cells infected human. Be sure to use this document thoroughly before dealing with the bacterium that grows inside the yeast cells infects the human. Okay, so the mold is different. So that's basically this is describing what happens when Evelyn infects you. Okay, so it will infect you, change your cells over time, allowing you to have regenerative abilities, Okay. Right. And then it will basically get into your brain, and Evelyn, the biological weapon, will have complete control over your mind and body, make you see things and do things. And then you'll be completely infected and you'll basically transform into a mold. But the actual molded enemies that we see in the game that I was shooting about an hour ago in our field to this stage. Sorry, this is boring, my apologies. Are you still here, by the way? Have you have you left the live stream because of how boring the reading is, Elemental Ninja? Are you still here? What they describe later on then, which is over here, is basically Evelyn's ability to form complete new organisms, which is the main enemies that we see. And it just describes that you can create a serum using her body tissue to either cure or kill the infected, but then you can make it even stronger in exploring the serum's potential from the subject. And you can make it stronger by doing something else with it, basically, and it will actually kill Evelyn completely. Okay, that's enough of reading. Oh my god, Elemental Ninja, are you still here? Okay. Well, I didn't mean to make that reading so boring, but yeah. It's important though, it's very important, because you're going to need to know all this, like, when it comes to Resident Evil 8, because it is my belief that Resident Evil 8 will be heavily connected to Resident Evil 7 in so many ways. It's a lot of health for the final moment of the game. I won't need to save it. Hopefully I won't need to save it anyway. This is an interesting area that we don't need to go to yet, but... Yo, Elemental Ninja! Are you still there? Roll check on Elemental Ninja. I always read the last documents of the... I always read the documents at the final moments of Resident Evil. I think they're the most important documents. So just remember, I don't know if Elemental Ninja is there. I don't think he's there anymore. But if anyone is watching this right now, just bear in mind everything that I read out in the documents, and bear in mind what you're listening to right now, and bear in mind that you're playing as Ethan Winters. There's a reason I'm saying all this. It's very important. Like, does anyone think that there's actually somebody whistling right now? Really whistling? Does anybody think that Ethan Winters is actually... And is that person really there? No, it's not, because Ethan has been infected by Evelyn and her bacteria, which can create these organisms, and which can also make Ethan hear things and see things. Now what does that mean going forward? What does that mean for the Resident Evil 8 trailer? When he sees Chris Redfield shooting Evelyn. What if, or not Evelyn, Mia. What if Mia is not even there? What if Chris wasn't even there? What if it wasn't Chris that shot Mia? So all these questions, very important questions. Very important question. Oh, I think I've just lost Elemental Ninja. I feel bad about that now, to be honest with you. Didn't mean to make the reading so boring. This is really scary. Oh, fuck. Wait, these enemies are so fast. Oh, crap. Why is this? Oh, fuck. because there's actually a few ways you can go.
What game are you gonna do after this?
Who is in? Oh, you're still here. I thought you were gone, Elemental Ninja. Oh man, I thought you were gone. What game am I going to play after this? Well, that is the perfect time to announce my Resident Evil related news. Would you not say? Perfect time. Okay. It is time to announce my Resident Evil related news. So the next game that I'm actually going to play after Resident Evil 7 is, drum roll please, the original Resident Evil. I am going to...
Oh, I forgot about your news.
Well, I hope I surprised you. So yeah, I'm going to be celebrating and honouring Chris Redfield. And just remembering everything that man has went through. The mansion incident is what defined his life. Everything he experienced in that mansion.
Isn't there a remake of the first one?
There is indeed, and that's going to be the game that I'm going to be playing after Resident Evil 7. The Resident Evil 1 remake. The mansion incident has defined Chris Redfield. It really has. The horror, the loss, the betrayal. You know, Chris's fight with biological weapons all started in that mansion. You know, I've seen online people asking, why is Chris so angry? Why does he look so dark in Resident Evil 8? Cheer up, Chris. And I swear to God, like, I almost take it personally. I'm like, do you fucking realise what Chris Redfield has been through? Like, really, like, I take it really personally when I see those comments, like, you know, what did they expect Chris Redfield to do? Huh? Fucking do jumping jacks and cartwheels with a big smile on his face, sitting by a bonfire singing Kumbaya, my lord. What the fuck, like? This man's life has been turned upside down forever. And he will never be the same man he once was, because of everything he experienced as a result of the mansion incident. So my next game will be the original Resident Evil to remind myself and everyone else what Chris Redfield has been through. Celebrate and honour Chris Redfield. However, I got some more little news for you. As soon as I complete the...
You just see Chris come out of a clown car.
Anyway, I just see Chris come out of a clown car. You know, a big happy smile on his face. But that ain't gonna happen. Because Chris is not a happy man. How could he possibly be a happy man? But everything he's been through? Okay, let me just give you a quick rundown, okay? Of Chris Redfield's life, okay? Sorry. As soon as I kill these fat fuckers. Kill these fat fuckers first. Oh crap. So in the mansion, at the mansion incident, Chris Redfield came face to face with the Umbrella Corporation's biological weapons created by their T-virus. He fought for his life against zombies, zombie dogs, giant snakes, giant sharks, superhuman tyrants, and he saw his colleagues and friends get killed, sometimes right in front of him. He was betrayed by his own captain, Albert Wesker, who was not only his captain, but Albert Wesker was also working for the Umbrella Corporation. And he was ordered to lure Chris and his colleagues into the mansion to dispose of them because he knew too much. And also gather combat data on the biological weapons. When Chris Redfield went to report all this to the Raccoon City Police Department, he was ignored because his chief of police, Brian Irons, was receiving bribes from the Umbrella Corporation to keep his mouth shut. So Chris Redfield had to run off to Europe on his own to continue to investigate the Umbrella Corporation, go to the headquarters. While he was doing that, his sister's life was at risk because the T-virus had spread to the entire Raccoon City because the Umbrella Corporation continued their research. When she was finished doing that, she went looking for Chris. She got herself captured by Umbrella, was beat up by Wesker because Wesker was back. So Chris Redfield had to save her. When the Umbrella Corporation folded, did everything end? No, it didn't. The biological weapons that Umbrella Corporation created fell into the hands of terrorists, thus creating bioterrorism. So Chris's fight had only just begun. And once again, his allies were killed right in front of him. He was battling for his life against biological weapons. He was betrayed by his bosses once again. So you try walking in Chris Redfield's shoes and coming out with a smile on your fucking face. Because that man has been through a lot, right? So he's not going to look happy in Resident Evil 8, is he? So, yeah, so that's my Resident Evil news. I'm going to be celebrating, honouring, remembering and appreciating Chris Redfield leading up to the launch of Resident Evil 8. Because I know that I have been on one hell of a journey with Chris Redfield since the very beginning. Since I was a young kid playing PlayStation 1, the original Resident Evil, you know, I've seen Chris Redfield go through this amazing journey. So, yeah, that's my news. And as soon as I have Resident Evil 7 base story complete, I'll be jumping right into Not a Hero, which is Chris's latest adventure. And we're almost at the end of the base story, actually. Or maybe not. I should save my progress just in case something does happen and I need to fucking start all this over again. You can never be too careful. So yeah, for me, it's personal with Chris Redfield. It's personal when people attack my Chris Redfield online and ask why isn't he happy. And I don't think he's a bad guy. I just think that he just can't take any chances. Maybe Mia is infected. You know, maybe that's why he shoots Mia at the in the trailer. Maybe he didn't do anything because we now know. I can say this now because I've live streamed it. We now know about the biological weapon. We now know about Evelyn. We now know what the biological weapon is capable of. It's capable of infecting your brain. It's capable of causing you to experience hallucinations, hearing things and seeing things that aren't there. It's capable of controlling your entire actions. So think about that for a second, you know. But what's also interesting is, this was pointed out by somebody online, is that Chris Redfield looks like he could actually be infected by this bacteria because it looks like he has all the black mold on his face. Do you know what I mean? So you have to take all of those things into consideration. I don't think this is black and white with Chris. I don't think it's Chris is a bad guy, Chris is a good guy. You know, Chris is a broken man. Let's face it, this man is broken. He's been through a hell of a lot, and that's what I think. He's been fucking broken, man. There's that doll. I think that's indicating something very interesting. We're actually, I'm so fucking stupid. This is where it all started. It's that testing area. He was kind of going in between. Lucas would have been going in between here and the testing facility. So I think it was actually Lucas that was doing all the testing. So, that is interesting. Observation there now that I've only realised. Jeez, this is where it all started.
It's not here. It's gone. It's gone.
And again, I want to point out that right now, Ethan Winters is experiencing an hallucination because he is infected. I get so worked up because I mean, you know, people are so quick online to like come up with all these like crazy like fan theories, and they think they know everything. They think like everything is factual. Sometimes I haven't even fucking took the time to actually read the documents. Sometimes I haven't actually taken the time to actually understand what's happening in the game. You know, so I think that the fact that Ethan Winters is infected could have a lot to say about the events of Resident Evil 8. I really do. And I think we have to remind ourselves, like, everything that Chris Redfield has been through as well. So, you know, all those things need to play a huge part. All those things need to be factored in when we're discussing Resident Evil 8. Now, to be fair, these are more flashbacks than hallucinations, really. Well, that's a hallucination. She is not really there. We'll just keep shooting her.
This is your fault.
Oh, no.
Ethan, it's okay. It's okay. It's me. I know you didn't mean to hurt me.
Kill him, Mommy.
But you shouldn't have done that.
No, he's kind of. No, he can see
Want to be my daddy? Then he
why Mia was acting like that. I think Evelyn is just the best biological weapon
Mommy's turn to kill you.
that Resident Evil has ever generated. 100%. No ifs, no buts, no cuddles.
You're gonna be one of us. And then maybe you'll play nicely.
I'm not playing.
No! Get that away from me!
Get away, Mia. I forgot about this. I think there's a lot more depth into the Evelyn infection than a T-virus infection. You get infected by T-virus, you just like turn into a zombie. You get infected by Evelyn, and it's, oh god, man, it just gets into the host's brain and just fucks up the brain, man. It's lovely. We're actually, yeah, we're almost at the end of the game now, and the time isn't too bad, really.
Get away!
And, wait for it, here is the real Evelyn. I always feel so bad for her though.
Does everyone hate me?
This is the real final boss of Resident Evil 7. It ain't Jack Baker. Who could be in those choppers? So throw back to the original Resident Evil. In more ways than one, the gun is called Albert, and the whole like you use it. Throw back to in Resident Evil 1 where you're shooting the tyrant, the rocket launcher. Okay, so this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Well, it's the most important moment in the game. Very important when discussing Resident Evil 8. The arrival of a certain individual. Who could it be? See this Chris come over with flamethrower. I was looking at the other comment there.
I'm Redfield.
Chris Redfield.
Glad we found you.
Everybody was like saying, is it really?
Took you guys so long.
Everybody was like questioning whether it was Chris. It is Chris Redfield, 100%. Chris Redfield rescuing Ethan Winters. So if you think of it, Chris Redfield is actually the real hero of the game. There's Mia.
Mia. You made it. I'm glad.
Did I?
You can see the umbrella logo, just about.
They say that when one door closes, another opens. Well, a door closed tonight. And what a long night it was. But not just for me. Me and I weren't the only victims here. So were the Bakers. It was that thing, Evelyn, who made them that way.
Umbrella
But now
compilation.
Evelyn's dead. And these guys are here to clean up the mess. I had just come to terms with losing Mia. And now she's back and wants to start over. Put all this behind us. Maybe this is where the next door opens.
And a big name on that door, and it's called Resident Evil Village, as we have to call it now. We can't call it Resident Evil 8 apparently, we have to call it Resident Evil Village. So, that's the base story of Resident Evil 7 complete. I will be live streaming Resident Evil Not a Hero, which takes place directly after what you just saw there. You play as Chris Redfield, and he's tracking down Lucas Baker, he's continuing to clean up the mess created by Evelyn, basically. So Ethan gets to go home, but Chris Redfield must stay behind to clean up that mess that Evelyn left behind.
They locked me up and took my soul.
I actually love the story of Resident Evil 7. It all comes together in the end. Like, you think that you're basically facing these this crazy family, crazy cannibal family, you know what I mean? But there's so much more to it, like, and it really opens up towards the end of the game. You realise why the Baker family are the way they are. And it's all explained through the wonders of science. Evelyn. So now I can talk a bit more about Resident Evil 8, even before I play Not a Hero DLC. So if you look at the trailer of Resident Evil 8, right? You got Ethan, you apparently have Mia, and you even see a baby in there as well. Now there's leaks been going around before the Resident Evil Village even got announced, which was that Chris kills that baby. Now you know so much now about Evelyn, you know so much about how she was created, how she infects her hosts, you know all that now. So, like, and obviously the people who created Evelyn are still around, you know what I mean? So, what if a couple of years passed after the events of Resident Evil 7 and Mia and Ethan did settle down and they had a baby together, and the organisation that created Evelyn, maybe they weren't finished, and maybe they basically managed to get hold of Mia Winters and inject Mia Winters her embryo with another E-series, because there's multiple E-series. All you need to do was get hold of this fungus, cultivate the fungus, put it into a human embryo. Boom, another E-series. It could be E-series popping up left, right, and centre. Do you know what I mean? It's a very dangerous situation, really, when you look at it like that. So, what if that's what happens with Mia and Ethan's baby? Because one of the leaks going around was that she was deformed, the baby, or he or she. What if it was a kind of a failed series? Or what if it was one of the A to D series? But what if Chris wasn't taking any chances? Chris gets word of this and says, look, we can't allow the baby to survive, boom. Do you know what I mean? Maybe there was a struggle with Mia, boom. And again, if you know what Chris has been through, I mean, he wasn't going to let bioterrorism get the one up on him. Do you know what I mean? Because if you think of it, like as I said, like Evelyn is one of the most dangerous biological weapons in the entire Resident Evil series, so maybe he couldn't take any chances of that being leaked into the world. And maybe what Chris Redfield, or not Chris Redfield, maybe what Ethan Winters saw in that trailer, the Resident Evil Village trailer, was an hallucination. What if it wasn't real? So yeah, there's all of that to take into consideration. But there's still the Chris Redfield Not a Hero story to be told, which I will be live streaming. And then after I complete that, I'll be able to have a bit more of an in-depth discussion. Recap everything. Recap what Evelyn is. Recap what Evelyn is. So I can't talk about Blue Umbrella until I actually complete Not a Hero DLC. But once I do, I'll be able to tie it all together. Hopefully I won't be as tired as I am now. Hopefully my vocabulary will be a lot more smoother. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to discussing Resident Evil 8. I'm looking forward to putting everything together, putting the events of Resident Evil 7 together with Resident Evil 8, and coming to my conclusion as of to what's going on in Resident Evil 8. I don't think it's as black and white as people are making it out to be. I mean, looking at the comments, I don't even think half these people even played Resident Evil 7, to tell you the truth. I'm not having a go at them. I just honestly think they haven't even played a game, because they were leaving out so much information. It was crazy. I came across some people trying to link Resident Evil 7 and 8 to prequels to Resident Evil 1. So yeah, Chris Redfield goes into the mansion, and he just forgets all his experience. Yeah, he just forgets all his experience against biological weapons, and just doesn't know what a zombie is, and doesn't know what viruses are, and doesn't know what the Umbrella Corporation is. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah. Fucking hell. But yeah. But unlike those people, I actually have played Resident Evil 7. I've played the entire Resident Evil series, and I'll be making my analysis based off of what I played, as opposed to what other people online are saying. You know, I'll be having a very independent analysis as to what's going on in Resident Evil 8. I'll even make one of them right here, right now. I think that the opening to the Resident Evil Village trailer says his story comes to an end. I think it's going to be Chris Redfield, because he's the only one with a real story. I mean, he's a story in Resident Evil 7, but if you put Ethan Winters and Chris Redfield side by side in terms of a story, there's more of a story with Chris Redfield, because as I said, he's been through a lot with the mansion incident, the Rockford Island incident, you know, his involvement with the BSSA, all the betrayal, all the loss, all the hurt, the continuous fighting he has been through. So I think his story is going to come to an end in some stage. I think. I could be completely wrong. Like, everything I say mightn't happen at all, you know. But like, I'm not going to base everything off the leaks, and I'm not going to base everything off what other people are saying online. But I will kind of use them as a kind of as a platform to kind of like expand upon, you know. But there's not a whole lot to go off though. There is leaks, but it's not like start to finish leak. Like somebody hasn't leaked, you know, the script of the game or anything. So it's not like that. It's nothing as comprehensive as that. I think the key things to understand going into a Resident Evil 8 is there's a virus out there. Very complex, not a virus. There's a biological weapon out there, which is very complex, that once it infects your brain in a very easy and discreet kind of way, it has complete control over your mind and body, and you will see things as a result of it, and you will hear things as a result of it, and you will do things that are completely out of your control. So that's very important when you look at what's happening in Resident Evil 8. There's an organisation out there that has created this biological weapon. We don't know how complex the organisation is, we don't know how expensive the organisation is, but it is out there, and it did create this biological weapon, and who knows how many other Evelyns there could be. Who knows? So there's that to take into consideration. There's and as I said, like, it's so easy to be infected by this biological weapon, because the biological weapon takes the appearance of, like in Evelyn's case, it was a 10-year-old girl. So it's very easy for this biological weapon to basically blend in with the environment and infect other people. So once she has a host infected, the host won't even know that they've been infected. I mean, compare that to being bitten by a zombie. You know what I mean? You see a zombie coming towards you, it's pretty obvious what's coming towards you, you know. So it's a lot easier to be infected by Evelyn. So all of those things need to be taken into consideration. And once again, after I complete Not a Hero DLC, now I was thinking of doing the other DLC called Daughters, which is basically it's actually a very kind of quick prequel to Resident Evil 7. It's not really important to the story, but it does kind of give you a really in-depth kind of backstory to how the Baker family were actually infected, and it's actually very deep as well and emotional, but it's not something that needs to be played or recapped. But it does kind of, well, it would definitely help in terms of showing what Evelyn is capable of, and just really demonstrating just how much of a complex biological weapon that she actually is compared to, you know, the likes of a tyrant. Like a tyrant is just nothing more than a fucking a brute, basically, just pure like strength and muscle, but it's deformed and it's, you know, it's mutilated and it's just ugly and it's just, yeah, you know, but it's got nothing, absolutely nothing on Evelyn. As I said, Evelyn is the most complex biological weapon ever created in the Resident Evil series. It took me 11 hours. Jesus fucking Christ. Most of that was reading documents, just want to point that out. Most of that was reading documents. A normal difficulty. We started it 5 times. Oh, look at that, I got 18 out of 20. Oh, fuck, man. I was so close to getting all the Mr. Everywheres. I had a good few antique coins to collect. Files obtained. I missed a few files. Ah, the perfectionist in me is screaming right now. That's fine, that's fine. Do I get a rank? Do I get a score? No score. Not going to give me a score. Well, I'm going to give you a brief look into what is next for the live stream. It is Not a Hero. Ethan's struggle is over, but there's still one last mess to clean up, and the job falls to Chris Redfield, a veteran in the fight against bioterrorism. So that's what's next for my Resident Evil 7 live streams. I always say, as far as Green-HillGaming is concerned, I could play any game in between. My next live stream could be anything at all. Mortal Kombat, Streets of Rage, Final Fantasy, Sonic, could be anything at all. But my next Resident Evil 7 live stream will be Not a Hero. Once that's completed, I pretty much will be able to dedicate an entire live stream to just me talking about Resident Evil 8, and I really 100% I want to kind of like, I will talk about the leaks, and I will talk obviously about the trailer and what you see in the trailer, but I don't want to just like repeat what other people are saying online. You know, I want to come to my own conclusions as to what is happening. Like, I don't think that Chris is the bad guy, first of all. I'll get that out of the way right now, and I've been saying that for quite a while actually. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. There's countless times in the series where Chris could have, you know, quote unquote, jumped to the dark side. You know, he could have like, when he realised what was going on, when he saw the tyrant, and when Wesker was like, this is the ultimate bioweapon, Chris could have said, Jesus Christ, that kind of biological weapon could be worth a lot of money. You know, he could have shot Jill, he could have shot Barry, and could have said, yeah, come on, Wesker, we'll go into the biological weapon market. You know, he didn't, did he? No. countless other times where he could have jumped ship. You know, he could have listened to Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 5, where he was one of the greatest quotes in the Resident Evil series, where Albert Wesker says, every day, okay, I don't know word for word, but he says something along the lines of, every day mankind comes one step closer to self-destruction. He says, I'm not destroying the world, I'm saving it. So maybe Chris is like, you know what, you're right, yeah, you're right. I'm going to be on your side now, you know what I mean? So there's countless of times where he could have been a bad guy. I don't think that he's just going to be quote unquote a bad guy. I know that Capcom have been kind of confusing players, kind of getting into their head by kind of saying, oh look, it's the Umbrella Corporation, but it's blue. Are they good? Are they bad? Oh, Chris is working for the Blue Umbrella, you know. Is it Chris? Maybe it's not Chris. You know, and the very fact that it's called Not a Hero as well really does kind of like get into the player's head. But I don't think he's a bad guy. He's Chris Redfield. He's been through a hell of a lot over the years, and it's all changed him, and that's what I think. I don't think he's a bad guy. I'll make one little mini prediction before I end the live stream, and then I won't talk about Resident Evil 8 again until I have completed Not a Hero. But what I will say is, I think that first of all, I think that Ethan Winters is he's still infected. I don't think it's like the T virus where, you know, you either get infected and turn into the undead or turn into a tyrant, or you get cured by a vaccine. I think the infection works very differently. Then again, though, there was a hole in that story. Then again, though, because if he was infected and he wasn't, injected with the necrotoxin, he would have turned into the molded. So that's, I'm not turning into the molded, but he would have completely mutated, you know, like Jack Baker and Margaret did. So that's the part I don't understand. But the virus could have still been out there, you know. Because it's probably way too soon to be talking about Resident Evil 8 in general. But I suppose the real point of me replaying Resident Evil 7 from start to finish and me doing Not a Hero DLC, I suppose it's to remind myself and to remind my viewers what I've done in Resident Evil 7, what Evelyn is, what Chris Redfield is up to, what the Blue Umbrella is up to, and stuff like that. I think that's the most important part of the live stream, because I do think it is safe to say that the virus will definitely make an appearance in Resident Evil 8. I think they'll do a thing like where, you know, the T virus was introduced in Resident Evil 1, and we saw that right up to Code Veronica, essentially. There was other viruses introduced, like in Resident Evil 2 you have the G virus along with the T virus, but like it's not what infected Raccoon City, do you know what I mean? The T virus infected Raccoon City, and it plays a huge part in the events of 2 and 3. And even in Code Veronica, the T virus is basically what infects Rockford Island and even the Antarctic base. Of course, the T Veronica virus is what the Ashford twins are infected with and plays a part. But overall, like pretty much every Resident Evil game up to Code Veronica was a T virus. Of course, Resident Evil 4 introduced the last plague as Parasite. 5 was Ouroboros, and 6 I didn't fucking play, but I watched the cutscenes. I forget. I think it was the C virus or something like that. yeah, and then Resident Evil 7 introduces the Evelyn, basically the fungus infection. So I think that what Capcom could do is kind of maybe create multiple Resident Evil games right up to Resident Evil 9, Resident Evil 10. I know I'm going fucking years ahead here now, but this new virus could actually play a part. And I don't think Capcom could move away from it because it's a very interesting type of virus, and you can do a lot with it, like especially with all the hallucinations, the mind control, the type of infection it is. You can really get into the player's head a lot more because you don't know what you're seeing. You don't know if what you're seeing is real or if it's an hallucination. And I think going into the game knowing that is a lot better than going into the game and not knowing it. So you get what I'm trying to say? So if something happens in Resident Evil 8, because you know about the virus, because you know about Evelyn, and because you know of the hallucination, it gets into your head. You start thinking, okay, is what I saw real, or is it a hallucination? Like, you're not going to say that when you play Resident Evil 7 for the first time, because you don't know about Evelyn, you don't know about the fungal virus. You get me? You don't know about it until it actually happens later on in the game. So when you know of the hallucinations, when you know of how Evelyn infects her hosts, you will question, did this just happen, or is this part of an hallucination? But it's still to be decided whether or not Ethan is actually infected. You know what I mean? But maybe, I don't know, maybe they do give birth to, maybe the baby is infected, because it doesn't say how long, how many years have passed since Resident Evil 7, but they do say a few years. So, a few could be 1 or 2, just don't know. But maybe once Mia gives birth to the baby, maybe the baby is kind of like an Evelyn kind of baby, very hybrid kind of a thing, But it's interesting because that's pretty much how the virus happens anyway, because you inject a pre-stage 5 embryo, was it an embryo? Yeah, pre-stage human embryo with the fungus, and then that gives birth to the biological weapon. So it's kind of the same thing, really, because maybe Evelyn still had, or maybe Mia still had some sort of fungus somewhere inside of her, maybe same with Ethan, and yeah, so I don't know, I'm jumping way ahead here, but because there's obviously going to be other characters and other antagonists introduced into the game. It's not going to be like Resident Evil 7 2.0, like, or Resident Evil 7 1.5. Like, it's going to be, like, you know what I mean? It's going to be a full-on, like, brand new Resident Evil game. You know what I mean? So, jeez, I could talk for all night about Resident Evil, man. There's a reason why Resident Evil is my favorite game of all time, and this is it. This is the reason. I can't believe there's still 2 people watching this. I'm surprised I haven't put you to sleep by now, to be honest. Maybe my voice is soothing. Help people to sleep. Should do like relaxation live streams. Johnny talks about Resident Evil. No, but okay, so I've completed the base story of Resident Evil 7. We got to see Evelyn. I got to see what happened to the Baker family. We got to see Ethan's struggles. See the arrival of Chris Redfield, the introduction to a new umbrella which Chris Redfield is working for. So yeah, base story of Resident Evil 7 is now being completed. I don't have to tiptoe around discussing the events of Resident Evil 7 now when I'm discussing Resident Evil 8, because I'm very aware, I'm very conscious of spoilers. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. I know the game has been out since 2017, but look, you got to understand and respect the fact that there's still people out there that may have not looked at the cutscenes of Resident Evil 7 online. They mightn't have played the game yet, and they don't want the events spoiled. But now that I've live streamed the entire story, I don't have to worry about that on my channel, So the fuck is that? So, so yeah. So next, of course, is going to be Resident Evil 7, Not a Hero, which centers around Chris Redfield. And once I have that completed, I'll then be able to discuss Resident Evil 8. I know I just said it about 10 times already, but there you go. Okie dokie, so that is going to do it for this live stream of Resident Evil 7, where I've completed the story. So stay tuned for Resident Evil 7, Not a Hero. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Green Hill Gaming.